Okay, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of this house. This is one of the houses that was actually kind of a hard for me to talk about this house. Yeah? The son, basically the owner of the man I'm going to talk to you about, the original owner of this house, his son told me, this is an old guy now. This is also old guy. This is not a young guy. This is also a guy, oh my God. I don't know how old he is, but this must be in his early 70s or something like that. He told me this house is not being populated here for, I don't know how long. Like, I don't know, 100 years or whatever. He didn't want me to say that I recall this stuff, because I did recall certain stuff. Now, I don't know whether they were driving me crazy or not, but here's the deal about this house. You know, it must have been the year 1978. 1970, must have been in 1978 here. Must have been in 1978. And this house, this is a city here. Must have been 1978 here. This is where you would go if you would go to this house. It would be more or less, this would be the area. This is basically home for elderly right there that you have this here. Am I so terribly mistaken? Yes, I am a little bit mistaken. I am. This is home for elderly is here. I don't know what is the DSO, what the meaning. Aha, Dom starejših občanov. Okay, so that's now the DSO, they call DSO. And, you know, then you would have this stream. And this house basically is located right here. You know, this you would go down to the stream. This is what I was at. This is where we are at. Now, you're not going to see any of that stuff, but that's exactly what this stuff is, you know. So it was 1978. I was probably in the second grade of the grammar school. And so the way this would look like would be, this is called Smrečnica. This is on the other side of this stream. It's a street, it's a road. And as you would head down, and then this is the house here. This here. My parents know these people very good. This here is the house. This is this house. Yeah. And they live right here across on the other side of the road. And it was 1978, must have been 1978, when a father, you know, a father of the man I was talking to you about on the video, told me that that's it, they're going to close they're moving to another location. That's the end of it. 1978, you know. It looked like he's going to lock the door, that is it, whatever, right? So, yeah, I was a child. So, that was a father. I remember the father has mustaches. I think he had mustaches. He was not a tall man, but also very blue-eyed, and you know, this was just, it was not a young man. This was an older man. So now he was a young man at that time, you know, and so. But inside of this house, that it was not over. It was still, I think it probably was an aunt that lived here. Or maybe it was a grandma. Maybe the grandma didn't want to go out. I don't know. But I think they still have a person that was here inside of this house. And so that was the end of it. Sometimes in the third grade of the grammar school, something like this, that was also finished with this house. It was also finished, I think, with this house, sometimes in the third grade of the grammar school. Well, the year, the year was probably, I would say, about 1980, maybe. Yeah, maybe 6 plus 1972, 6 1970. 1980, 1981, it was the end of it. 1980 was finished, this house too. This beautiful old house. That was it. As you would walk inside of this house, now this is something that still gets me. As you would walk inside of this house, yeah? Let's go, and I'm gonna tell you this magic about this house. As you walk inside of this house, it was toward the other side, toward this side here. It was something in very bad shape. I don't know. It was yeah, I think toward the center of the house. I think it was more toward this side of the house. More toward this side of the house. I think it was no good, the house. Something like this, I think it was. And I am going to go and investigate more about this. I'm going to go and play a little bit with the time, back in time, to try to recall myself more about it. But it's quite actually interesting to investigate this stuff. Yeah, I do think that this side of the house, there was still like a room that was still a room, that the lady had a room here. Okay, so I think there was still a lady that had a room, and that lady was finished sometime when I was in the 3rd grade of the grammar school. So now we are talking about sometime like 1981 it was finished. So they left already sometime in 1978, I would say, to another location, the whole family. But the lady here still stayed for several more years. And I think that was not a grandma, that most likely was actually an aunt, I would say. I think it was one of the aunts or something like that. Or maybe they even rented to somebody, I have no idea. And then they closed it down. It was something like this, okay? So the man that you see here, that's here, on the other side of the street, they were building the house, and apparently that the house was on the other side of the street. They built a house. I am not sure that this is the way it was. Okay, I have to go yet and investigate this house here. I yet have to go and see this. I have to go and record this kind of stuff yet. See, it's quite a lot actually to recall. This house was, he has a sister, and there was another house they had somewhere. They had another house they had somewhere. Now I don't know whether they left to this house or they left to another house. I don't know, but I know they had a house, and it was this young man that was working on this house, that he wanted to build the house, etc., etc. So was it this house? I don't know. I actually even believe that they had another house somewhere else, and then they put this house up, you know, because I think that he said to me, and I might even build, I think that he said to me, I'm not sure about this stuff. I don't want to get into this one. I have to think about all this stuff. I think they had another house, and that was the house that the whole family left to. It was a sister, I know that, and it might have been one more sister. I'm not even sure about that. But They were, yeah, they were financially doing okay. I don't know whether she moved to somebody, talking about the sister, or not, or whatever it was, but they did build another house somewhere. So is this house here just the same house that is modernized? Yeah, I think actually that this is a modernized house, that this is actually the same house. This is probably the same house. This is the house from the son, I would say. That this is... They had another house. Oh man. Oh boy. I think there was another house here somewhere, something like this in the area here somewhere, that it belonged to them, something like that. There was another house they had. And I am trying to figure out about this house here. So this is yeah, this must be it. So this is basically this is the old house, and next to it is a new house. Even they basically upgraded, make one bigger. That's what it is. They basically left from here, from this house, right across the street where they had a new house they built, and they also had, and I'm not sure, and it might be a sister that had a house here in this area here, that got married, and she had another house right here in this area, I think. A little bit uphill. I am I have to take a step at a time. This is a big stuff. So far back in time, remembering the father when he walked out. It was kind of a strict father, and he closed this and he said, "This is it. We're not going to be here anymore." All during MK Ultra. And I asked, where are you going? And I think that he said, right here across the street. We have here across the street. These are actually very nice people. That's what this is. That's what this stuff is. And I'm trying to figure out some more stuff. He actually told me the different thing. Am I really mistaken so much, because they were taking me to other houses? Yeah, he actually told me that right here on this side of the building, that this was still the part that was still possible to live in one, and the other side of the building that was bad. So no, not really. I will explain to you the issue behind this stuff. No, not really. Interesting that I remember so much. No, not really, not at all. Not at all. This is true. It's true that they live on this side of the building. They did live on this side of the building. This was the last part of the building where they still used to live, here on this side of the building. Yes, you can see it. You'll see exactly. They used to live here on this side of the building. This is true. But the truth also is that this was the part of the building they reserved for themselves, for their family. But there was another person who still lived inside of the building, and that was that old lady. And that lady was on the other side of the building, exactly as I explained, you know? Oh, yeah. I mean, that's me, all right. So, that's me, all right. So, for themselves, they had the other side of the building, which was the best part of the building, just as I demonstrated. But when it comes to the lady, the old lady, she did have, like, I think she had, like, on the upper floor here, in the upper floor that she had the room. Yeah, she still lived here, even that she's not supposed to. and nobody practically even knew about it. She stayed in there still. Then it was, I remember the police searched that they didn't want there no more her inside and that kind of stuff. And I think they relocated her to the home for elderly people. I was actually even something my fault, whatever happened. So this is kind of a sad memories on this stuff, but yes, you better believe it that I was there. So second grade would be 1978, 1979. They move across the street in the building right next to the house, the little house right next to. And then the son make the house bigger. And the old lady still stayed inside of this house here, maybe until 1980, 1981, maybe 1982. And then it was the end of it. So that's it. You want to bet with me about this stuff? You want to play with me as schizophrenia? I'm going to say to you, good luck to you. It's going to be very, very difficult to play with me, this kind of stuff. I know my shit. And I, in a way, feel sorry that I did told you about this stuff, because it's not good for me. You see, it's not good for me, because I would rather police to make a problem out of it. You know? And once you make the problem, I destroy you on the spot. Like I already have done it before. I have proven you that when you went after me, that the only thing you did is you dunked inside of the toilets, basically. You have hidden yourself at the end, because the last card was always mine. It was always I who pulled the last card out. I always won every case. This chalet here that you see right there, this chalet, let me demonstrate you.
They calculated on how to crash the tree down.
Yeah, they did. They knew exactly that the tree is going to fall on that chalet and that little housing project right there. Let me see if I can demonstrate you that. You know, that's why I came. So yeah, I can see it. There you go. We have the tree and we have a little chalet, whatever. Yeah, that's the chalet right now. So this here, yeah, this is the tree. I'm going to demonstrate you the tree. So the tree was not straight like this, but it was down toward the stream like that. Yeah, and as the tree fell, they knew it's going to fall partially on this chalet here. Like a house like this one here that you see. You see this little housing here, this little thing? This is the way it was here, you know, except that the man did all this house by himself. I remember that. And so the tree was not like this, the tree was like that. And so when he placed this chalet here, you know, this little house here, maybe this is even his idea. I don't fucking know. I don't know whose fucking idea this shit was. But when he put this house here, the year when he put the house, you know, it was about, I will never forget that. I was like in a 6th grade of the grammar school. And it was MK Ultra, and as he was doing this project here, this little house here, he had me here with him. Because he had a daughter. He had a beautiful daughter. I liked that daughter. But she was older than myself, and I always liked older ladies. And so, anyhow, he had this daughter, and I was quite crazy about, but he was not really into marriage between me and her, as it became evident. The year when I was in a 6th grade, you're talking about year 1982, let's say. 1982. 1982, 7th grade, maybe 1983, he finished this. 1982 it was when he finished this chalet here. This chalet here. It was a brand new. Yeah, the daughter was, the daughter was 2 years, maybe even 3 years older than myself. I know, because then it was, I remember it was, I hope I'm not mistaken about this stuff. I hope it was not, no, it must have been that way. It's got to be that way. It must have been that way. It couldn't be any other way than that. I'm thinking about something else here. I'm trying to think about something else here. I'm calculating this stuff. I said 6th grade, that would be 1982, and it could have been even earlier. No, I'm gonna go with like 1982. I'm gonna go with 1982. I'm gonna go with 1980. It's very, very difficult stuff. As we moved to another house here in the Krka village, we were not in the city anymore, and so this was right in between there. So this is basically 1982. Stuff that you see here, this here, this stuff here is in 1982. 1982. This was completed, I think it was in 1982. 1980. I am mistaken here completely. This is 1982. So 1980. Shit, I'm mistaken. That's 1986 when I went to the 8th grade. So 1982, 1984. We're gonna give here 1984. We're gonna give in 1984. This one here. Okay. And he had a daughter, but that daughter was about 3 years older than myself. That I really like her. Nothing happened. So we're talking about the people from here. This is yet another uncle, also older guy, who from here. So this is all from the home for elderly people. I viewed the properties that everybody around the home for elderly people was involved in it. Okay. So this is this year. So sometimes in 2008 it was when Juršič had this vagabond here. Let me demonstrate you from this shithole known as the so-called Novo Mesto police station. He is a director of this place here. He all disappointed, almost cried. You know, no, what I did, this Juršič, no, we don't go that way. No, he all disappointed, almost cried in front of me, because he knew he's not gonna get it already in the beginning, when they started to hallucinate how they're gonna fuck me, basically, and so on. It was about, they started to hallucinate how they're going to fuck me with the schizophrenia pertaining to the tree even earlier than that. Maybe 2006. You know, all the stuff they did here with the caterpillar and stuff like this. They were hallucinating how I'm not going to have proofs about this stuff and so on. So, he realized, all disappointed, yeah? This was programmed to take place in 1986 by Milan Kučan. 2006. 2006 they wanted to play with the caterpillar, crashing the trees down and do all kinds of stuff like this. In 2006, 2005, 2004, 2005, 2006. In 2008, this guy realizes that he's going to have a lot of problems. You know, this cretin just learned that, unfortunately for him and for the Štefanič and for all these cretins from Novo Mesto police station, Ogulin knew about that stuff. Now this young bucks that was certain that they're going to prove that something is wrong with me, who these cretins just realized that every house here in the area, yeah, they were certain with Robert Golob how they're gonna fuck me. Then it became clear to them that every fucking house everything, every house, every home around the home for elderly people, all around, was actually involved in this stuff. So now if you want to go and prove me that I am a paranoid and a schizophrenic and mentally ill individual, that's going to be a little bit difficult, because since all these people were involved in this area, and one way or the other, there is just plenty of proofs that I could use to prove that, you know, that nothing is actually wrong with me, that this is about repressive, genocidal state. And so that's what Robert Golob with the Milan Kučan want to exterminate me in a way through the psychiatry, by proving that something wrong with me. So now the young bucks, the young cretins from Novo Mesto police station got a little bit difficult assignment, they realized. That was in 2008. Because, yeah, everybody recognized me. They brought me here, and the guy recognized me. They brought me there, the guy recognized me. They took me there, and I saw this, and I saw that. And so, a little bit difficult job, really, to prove that something would be wrong with me. So, I don't have anything else to say, about this stuff. There is nothing else to say. Oh, the girl did not marry me. She came also with some conclusion, something wrong with me or whatever. Married another guy instead. But the tree, you can trust me 100%, it was arranged in 2008. This tree here was to fall down on this chalet here, and like a house, like a little house wooden like this, like here. This is just for the tools inside, gardening tools and stuff like this, right? It did just as they programmed. It's gonna fall down, and it did. And it did fall down. That's interesting. This was important to note during Robert Golob in Novo Mesto visit. Robert Golob, Novo Mesto. Robert Golob, Novo Mesto visit. That was this here. That was basically September the 16th, 2025, right? So now what we are talking about here more or less would be about 3 weeks ago when Robert Golob arrived at the Novo Mesto, and 3 weeks ago, approximately 18 days ago, there was supposedly a terrible storm. They did demonstrate some videos with the water running, large water running, and this is when this took place. However, yes, they did contemplate on doing this stuff exactly as I demonstrated you here since 2008. They wanted to smash this thing here exactly. They prorated it, right? So now this is quite fucking wild with actually evidence in it. If you go and you target the tree, they did target the tree. They wanted to, they inspected the tree. They had people, they inspected the trees and stuff and figured out how they're going to cut this off so that it would fall exactly as I told you. It was no way you possibly could avoid if the tree was fell down. They were even apologizing to the owner and seek the permission from him in 2008 for this stuff. And that's exactly what it was. It was a storm during Robert Golob's visit, and they went on and they just chopped the, obviously did with the tree so the tree could collapse down. That's all there is to it. What other important stuff I was going to say to you here in respect to this stuff? Now, there is actually really nothing else I would add to this stuff. That's all there is to it. There is nothing else to say to this. With the bulldozers, with the bulldozers and stuff. With the bulldozers, they played with these bulldozers. They played, I'm going to explain to you in what way they played with it, with the bulldozers. This house here that you see, this house, this dear loving house, the British royals had also the property in Britain that looks similar, very similar to this location where they also had me. That is also true. True is also that Robert Golob and Milan Kučan had me somewhere in Ljubljana, where there also was somehow similar element. Not exactly with the stream, but at least housing somehow matched. And there was a family inside and that kind of stuff. That's basically when I was already growing up, teenager. Growing up I was already. Didn't make any fucking sense. Like, you would try to reverse the time with the stuff here that you see, beginning like with my 8th grade. It didn't go into infinity, but they play with the timing, with that kind of stuff. That would not go through. The truth is what I told you exactly. I gave you the facts here, basically. Undisputable facts is what I gave you here. I mean, there's nothing you can say. You can go to the owner, and that's all he's going to say. He's going to say exactly what I told you. That's just the way it is. Needless to say that I never spoke to this owner, and needless to say that I never spoke to that other owner. If you're going to ask him, do you know this guy? He's going to say to you, no, for sure not. You know, that's what he's supposed to say, basically. The only time that he met me was basically during MK Ultra. That's how that stuff goes, right? So now we go down to this here, to this issue here, to this play here with this caterpillar here. Let me see this here. This is I beautifully did today, this stuff here. They wanted to challenge me on this stuff. They wanted to challenge me. They have nothing to challenge me, man. They better keep their mouth shut, man, because this is not what you want to do, really. The owner, however, claimed me that there's no way the caterpillar went anywhere inside in there, that there is a tree. They did took me to the other side. They were demonstrated me the trees and stuff like this. What I can say to you is that during MK Ultra, it sure looked like that would not be any way. That would be a caterpillar that will get there. But then on the other hand, yeah, sure. I cannot say the caterpillar went through there. All through the police instigated that there was some threats there. And, you know, all kinds of stuff. They were also switching the location. But there is one thing that is very certain. Yeah. They had a neighbor from Home for Elderly People, which is located right on the other side of the Home for Elderly. See these threads here? Okay. So at Home for Elderly People for many happy years, they were playing with a guy who was doing this kind of work. And that's some kind of a farmer who did have a tractor. And, well, if this is the Home for Elderly People right here, exactly the way you see it, right there. This is the road here, Smrechnikova, da-da-da-dum. Right, so I'm going to do this just for illustration purposes, so that you know where the river is, where exactly we were at. We were at here. This is where we are at. So now if I turn this into that other mode, then you get to see, right? That's exactly where we are here. This was our location. Okay, so now I'm moving up here past the entrance here. I'm going to zoom myself into so that you get a good idea about the stuff I'm talking about. This is entry to the Home for Elderly People. These people cannot fucking be trusted with any fucking shit here. With nothing can be trusted. Today I was talking about the Yugoslav police when they would come here to Home for Elderly People, you know? And I was actually talking about there was a security company that came here to pick up the money. They do this because they keep the money inside of the administration, you know? And I was talking to myself basically about the Yugoslav police, how the Yugoslav police was doing. Now they have a private companies because it's the so-called Slovenia. But before it was Yugoslavia. The so-called Yugoslavia now is the so-called Slovenia. Since 91 is a Slovenia. The thing is that this ladies here, they were so fucking evil, man. I was certain this ladies, you know, to see the stuff that Yugoslav police were doing, the Serbs in a uniform, in the police uniforms, or Slovenes with the police uniforms in Yugoslavia, in what used to be Yugoslavia, this is fucking unprecedented. They treated me like an animal. I am actually quite in shock that elderly people had to watch this shit. You had to watch this garbage until you fucking drop dead. It's actually truly, truly incredible. They told me that to help me out, that they would get a private company just to help me out. Basically, like you would say to somebody, talking about administrators. In this case, Mateja Jurišič. You know, I kind of was sure that the ladies understand what the fuck I go, because this is all from Slovenian, but there was no really any kind of sympathy, because I realized that they actually had a good time about this stuff. I don't think they really fell for me, for what they were doing inside of me, inside of the home for elderly people with me, during so-called Yugoslavia. I told you, Greater Serbian Chetnik State is what it was. And it came up that they're going to hire a private company so that, because the Yugoslav police, which is the same fucking shit, the same shit that remained here, you know, is the same people. The same people in this bunker here in Novo Mesto City is the same fucking shit. The same people, the same garbage, the same trash. Change the uniform from the Yugo uniform to the Slovenian, the so-called Slovenian uniform. The same fucking shit, the same garbage, the same trash. Continue to mistreat me, treat me like an animal. And so I remember that they came up like that they're gonna start like in '98, I think, that they proposed there will be some security officers that will come here to pick up the money. And that was in a private security uniforms and stuff like that. That should kind of scare away the police. It didn't scare anybody away. You know, this garbage here from this place here, they didn't give a fuck about anybody. They were still in charge about a police officer. These are UDBA, basically KGB people. They didn't give a fuck about anybody. For what they were concerned, they were the owners of the country still. They continue to go on. So they were a little bit shy in respect to the torture I endured in the past, but they were very determined that they will reestablish Yugoslavia back. They are very, very determined. So when this security officer popped up here, I think the year was 1980, 1998, I'm not even sure, because I left to the USA in 1995. So maybe that's not good that I'm not sure. Maybe I should know a little bit better about this stuff. You know, now when I say that I left in 1995, I'm not really exactly sure about it. I'm not totally sure about it. What I can tell you is that the police always was present here. Okay? You know, it might have been, I really do not know. You know, it might have been 1997. Might have been a little bit after I left the United States of America that the security company would now come to collect the money from this administration. And earlier today, I was talking to me about this issue with myself, about analyzing this stuff, the way I recall this. You know, he parked his car here like this. You know, he pulled the car backwards here, right in front of this entrance. With usually that would be like an entry for ambulance vehicles whenever they would deliver or come to pick up somebody, right? But in police cars, from the Yugo police cars, they would park cars here on the side like this, and then they would also have Seldomly they would also have the car in the back here. Now the point here is that the police also was coming to this place here for something. Yugoslav police, basically the Serbian police, was coming also here for something. That's also I have to say to you, I have to declare to you that they were coming here at a certain time, at a certain hour. I remember them coming to this place. So they must have been coming for something. Now, did I have any control over that? I would know whether they were coming to collect the money from administration, like the way this stuff is done now? I don't. But I made an assumption based on what I stated to you that they eventually were coming to collect the money. Talking about the Yugo police here, that they were actually coming to collect the money. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that one time there was a robbery. There was something happened actually here. That was some kind of a robbery. Oh man, this is again shit that I have to think over about this robbery, when the hell this stuff was, and what exactly happened, and so on, and when the hell this stuff was. Okay, so this is where the administration is located, in this area here. This is the administration, and the lady did today the same way as she promised me that she would do, to remind me that the Serbian police, therefore the Yugoslav police, the same fucking people that are still here basically, that they did not come to collect this. So basically she claimed that this was exclusively arranged between the new Slovenian security company and the Home for Elderly, basically elderly care, elder care, whatever you want to say, this place here, right? I wouldn't fucking bet shit on whatever the hell they say, no matter what the fuck, because this ladies they were just as Serbian as this motherfuckers here. There is absolutely no difference. And so since I talked to you about the caterpillar, I demonstrated you those threads over there next to the bench and stuff like this. The fact of the matter is that the Home for Elderly People is what Andrea Jurišič, Mateja Jurišič, and the previous one, whoever the director was already, are going to have to admit that they oftentimes have used a farmer here. There is somebody who had a tractor, this kind of a tool for the field, for the forestry, that kind of stuff. It's great. But there is a farmer there in the area, and that farmer during MK Ultra was so fucking crazy, man. He was running back and forth, all the time. This fucking guy with this tractor. This is not. I don't think this was such a big tractor, but you know, what the hell were they doing? Those. Let me see. Is it like something like that? Whatever the hell they had, something like this. You know, not so damn big, but it was. And they oftentimes asked him that, so he would do the stuff, and it's also he would come to pick up the stuff sometimes. This shit went on during MK Ultra all the fucking time. And since 2022, as I visit my father, which is over 3 years now, I had never even heard this fucking thing. Never heard for this tractor absolutely anywhere. So I need to find out about this employees from Home for Elderly People, because they all fucking know this guy. Who the hell this guy was. Because you see the threads on this thing? You know, if you look at this stuff here, you might notice that you don't need much of a difference to... You see the threads? From that tractor, this is the thing. This is the thing. Yeah, I'm gonna say nothing, man. Is it possible that this would be it? Yes. It is, and on the other hand, is not. Why the hell is not? Yeah, you're gonna see what exactly you're dealing here when you try to fuck me. That this is not really such an easy thing to do. Do you know why it's not? Do you see the razmach? Let me see what razmach is in English language. let me demonstrate to you this stuff here. So when you try to fuck me with some kind of schizophrenia and paranoia, this is just, you know, you guys are so. Okay, so I don't actually get this, but between the two, the spacing between the threads, that's to put it the proper way. And I'm going to be faster if I just go copy paste and you go down like this here. They were sure talking about the workers and stuff, that my life is going to depend on them and so on, man. But I won't fucking depend on anybody. See this thing here? This thing here? I have to say something to you, that this however did match the caterpillar. When they demonstrate me exactly the stuff that you see right there, something similar at least to this here, sometimes in the year 2000, and probably was maybe 2015. So was it for the caterpillar? I would say yes. The answer to this stuff is yes. So now that there is something else here, we have to come to the conclusion about this stuff here. And I might actually do this tomorrow. I did told you about, right, how this owner was claiming to me that there was no, there's no fucking way, man, that are we gonna get something like that? No, all right, that's okay. Yeah. They claimed to me that there is no way. The owner claimed to me. The police also delivered me, and they claimed me that there was no way that they could come with a caterpillar, beginning the 2000 and I think 2012, 2013, and 2014 they were playing with this. 2015, that there was no way that they could come in. They took me there to the other side. And that kind of stuff, and they claim that there is no way, and they told me that if I'm going to say this, that there is a tree and there is no way to go past that tree. The tree is over there, they cut the tree, that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe, maybe, but there is another way to get here. There is another way. Let's not forget about something else. There is this location here, right here. Let me demonstrate it. This is where they came here through. Boy. If I at least, let me see this. But if I could get this one here, we're gonna go here. Let me get this one. Okay, so yeah, that we don't, you don't play with me when it comes to this stuff. You don't fuck with me. This you don't. In a way, basically, I'm demonstrating right now that Slovenian people tried to save me, that Slovenian people were preparing me for something. Man, when it comes to all this stuff, the only thing it becomes evident is I lost 54 years in process for this police garbage. The Serbs were extremely successful at extermination procedure. And let this extermination procedure not go in the spirit of something good. Because I am the one, I lost 54 years in this. Slovenes acted corrupt, criminally insane, by literally throwing me inside of the psychiatric hospital. And must this never be forgotten about the stuff they did with intention they did. So yes, there is a way to get with the caterpillar inside. There is a way to get with the caterpillar inside, but it is on this side of the river. In this side of the river, just as you see he came up here, on this side of the river, it's just a little bit higher up the stream here. And this is exactly what I believe they have used to get the caterpillar inside sometimes in 2014. That's exactly what this shit is. The workers alone told me that if I see them, they had workers, and the workers will be doing the cleaning. They would be doing the cleaning here in this area here, which you can be seen better from a better, yeah, here. You see the cleaning of the stuff that you see right there, the way they did the cleaning. See this kind of stuff, the way it's clean, the way all the grass is clean, not the grass, but the bushes, the trees and stuff, small bushes and stuff. They were doing already some kind of cleaning before. The year must have been 2012, 2013, 2014. They were playing with the shit 2015. The workers claim me that if I will say that I saw them over there, it will be a schizophrenia. So basically they were challenging me, they were bullying me. They wanted basically duale with me. I told you this is the Slovenian state. Slovenian state doesn't really matter in this case anymore. Slovenian state committed genocide. If you commit the genocide, you know, you're not the one who's going to say, yes, we committed. You're not going to get that far with me. It's time for international community to admit, to confess about this genocide. This isn't about even Slovenia anymore. Slovenia dragged you into the pit hole and placed on you criminal spell, shit reputation, beyond any. I don't know how to express disgust about this stuff. These workers that were there were all in support of psychiatry against me. They all played psychiatrists. They death threatened, intimidated, were involved in torture. This is torture. And it was on the other side of this building property where they were also doing the work that I did talk to you about that stuff. When they were doing the work today, they were doing also work. They were also doing the work during MK Ultra. They were fixing some roofs and shit, man. And it was all the time, vrr, vrr, bam, bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. They were doing the stuff, you know. And so this here, it was like I had like a supporter or two or something like that. It was like among the workers that I was like, they portrayed me like extremely unpopular, hated person. Yeah, that's how they wanted to do. Yeah, this is what they enforced during MK Ultra. MK Ultra is always based on trauma, lies, and victim is always the worst person in the world. This is just the way it is. Who better pray for the handout in that sense, you know? This should also have something to do with the guy whom I identify with his wife today, right here behind our village as he was heading for a hiking towards Žihovo Selo. Might be that he's a supervisor of these people that has some connection, or either with the Komunala or Cessna, something like that. He also have a house here in the Grm. He's from Grm. I would almost say to you that it's actually impossible. You understand me what I'm saying? That's actually impossible for me to figure out this issue with the caterpillar, but I am, because of these threads here, I am very, very certain that this actually were threads, that this was not a tractor. This actually were threads, and exactly the way you see it is exactly the way it was sometimes in, I would even say, in 2014, when they delivered me here. The problem with this stuff is they did switch location, where they would also had a caterpillar working inside of the water. This is the quality of the Robert Golob of the police. Milan Kučan loved nothing more than switching locations, play with the lunacy, total lunacy, and this is basically the only thing I can say to you. So, yes, these workers did the cleaning already. They were doing the stuff. This I was told, these are from the Cessna. These people, not possible. They were here. They were playing with this stuff already. They went inside of the water with the caterpillar before already. They tested it out. This is not even from the Cessna, from what I recall. These people are actually from the private company, and this private company got into the business sometimes in 2012. Cessna is the country, the state, the state. So I don't think that this is from the Cessna. I believe that these people are not from the state. I think this is actually a private company that did this cleaning here too. This caterpillar issue, the private company, that kind of stuff. Hey, this was again another guy who was involved. Who also bargained for, in business and stuff like this, to open his company, to run his company, and so on and so forth. So that's all I can say. The fact of the matter is that this tree here, absolutely, there is absolutely no doubt about it. This tree here would exist another, if they wouldn't smash one down like this tree would exist probably another, who the fuck knows how many years. And, I will not forget them when they went on and they studied how, the roots of the tree, how if it's going to be difficult, it's going to be easy. And they came to me, they came back to us. They told this is going to be very, very easy to do it. It's going to be a very easy job to do it. So the Home for Elderly People did a little bit of the terrorism here. And the terrorism is not to smash the tree down. That's okay. The terrorism is when you're playing a psychiatrist. You're not a psychiatrist. You don't have, even as a nation, as a country, you don't have the right to do this stuff like this. You go a little bit overboard, and you continue to do whatever the fuck you can to cause as much harm as possible. You destroyed my father. You basically killed my father. And you took away from me 54 years of life. While you were using me for a less than slave tool. That's why I say that Slovenes are a northern Serbs. This is not a nation. This is not a country. This is just a Serbian canton. And from what I am concerned, I don't give a three fuck about whether there are Italians here, or there are Germans here, or there are Croats here, or there are Hungarians here, or the fucking penguins come here, or whatever the fuck it comes here. I don't care, because it's not a nation. It's a shithole. It's a criminal shithole. I told you, Slovenia is simply whatever the Slovenia is. This pit here, if you want to know about this, what Slovenia is,
The people who committed this, their grandkids, their grandchildren today, they are employed right here, and they are employed across other police stations throughout the Slovenia. This is all the fuck I say. The same fucking people, the same shit, the same fuckhole. It's not a nation, it's not a country, it's a canton, it's a Serbian canton, it's a northern Serbia. And I'm definitely not part of it. I never was part of this nation, and I never will be. Don't ever fucking say that I'm part of this shit, because I never was. I was born into a fucking slavery here in this place. That's why I don't recognize these people as my people. My final thoughts on this stuff. This should have been published already, this video, but it's very relevant in respect to what police continues to... It's not a police, it's a Slovenian Gestapo that continues to enforce around the home for elderly people, at the home for elderly people. It was Igor Juršič, it was Andrej Štefanič, whom I have regarded as a funny man on the blog. The two guys who suggested that my case therefore could be recognized if I would manage to identify all the residents, buildings, houses, the knowledge that I would have around the home for elderly people in the city of the Novo Mesto. That's what they suggested me, all excited, seeing, watching me, looking at me, if, by the way, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bite their bait. So these guys did nothing other than lied. And that's how they lied. Before they lied in their Slovenian, the so-called Slovenian police uniforms, it was the Serbs that were visiting this shithole, home for elderly here in Novo Mesto. I remember these animals in blue uniforms. Slovenes, Serbs that would be visiting home for elderly people and would chanting shit with the home of the elderly administration, with those ladies that would just engorge themselves. I mean, this was like, I'm going to say totally immoral, but this was like a Sodoma, Gomorrah, something like this location during the so-called Yugoslavia, Greater Serbian Chetnik state. They have absolutely no respect for the human life, for a dignity, for ethics, for absolutely anything. They did this stuff under the disguise of the so-called socialism, affiliated themselves with the communism, etc., before they collapsed down through corruption, before they succumbed to the knees through corruption, before this Balkan barrel known as Yugoslavia exploded in an ethnic war between several different nations, several different countries. Basically, it's like this. What these animals here from Novo Mesto police station are doing is, that's where and what everything is all about, is basically resolving completely illegal, criminal, as murderous as it gets, not crime but genocide procedure. When you bring person, target individual, tortured person, and you subject him to a torture at a certain location and around the area, and it doesn't really matter what you tell them, because the animals from Novo Mesto police station insisted me that it was like, in a sense, they must not go to waste whatever people basically invested in you, you know, whatever people did on the side, you know. They try to portray this stuff like something that went on the side, you know, like there will be Yugoslavia, a Serbian police that would enforce this stuff, and then there would be a good people you know, the Slovenes. They would be here and there and so on, and they would chant with you, they would exchange with you their experiences, their life transformation, major happenings in their lives, marriages, properties they would purchase and so on, and people they would bury, and newborns and all kinds of stuff like this, you know. It doesn't make any fucking sense in the first place, because it was the Serbs, it was the Serbian police. How many fucking times do I have to repeat this? That visited home for elderly people, together with the Slovenes. Torture, engaged in torture at home for elderly people, engaged in torture in that house that I demonstrated you, engaged in torture in the area. It was the Serbs, police, Slovenes that would deliver me from home to home during what was known as Yugoslavia. Tito is Yugoslavia. So, what the fuck are you watching here in this case? Should you be, you have to know the answer, you have to ask yourself, should you be watching this stuff in a so-called Slovenia, in a parenthesis, independent Slovenia? Stuff I was talking about sounded during MK Ultra like a conspiracy. Actually, nobody really knew what the fuck went on. Nobody understood about what the fuck went on, except that they were preparing me for if somehow school home for mentally disabled would not succeed for the Serbs, for the Ljubljana, for here, for the Slovenes. That's what they were trying to push me into. Then I guess it would have been, maybe, it would have been home for elderly people. And so what were you preparing me there for when it comes to the neighbors around the home for elderly people? Obviously that you were giving me the input on my having the ability to prove something, to prove that actually there was a such thing as MK Ultra. Now, can we say that there was a such thing as a genocide procedure in Yugoslavia? No, we cannot. Why? Because the Slovenia assumed all duties and responsibilities pertaining to the genocide, which previously was enforced by the Serbs. With the end of Yugoslavia, it was the Slovenia which inherited this case. Therefore, there was no trace of the Serbs. There was absolutely no trace other than Slovenes that continued to enforce this extermination procedure, the genocide. So, when I go back to the Igor Juršič, when I go back to Andrej Štefanič, the funny man, what exactly were you guys mumbled? That I can prove my case if I would identify the people in the area and so on and this and that. That it would be identified, they would be recognized and this and that. This is not about identifying, this is not about their recognizing, this is about the Slovenes, the northern Serbian province, Podalpski Srbi, ne Hrvati, Podalpski Srbini, enforcing extermination procedure, genocide, which you scum inherited from Josip Broz Tito. And you want me to see myself in you. You want me to recognize you, the nation, say, you're some fucking Slovenes, and list myself as a Slovenian, right? It's worse than this. It's worse than this. It's much worse than this. This is why I urge international, United Nations, Amnesty International, organizations that care about the justice, to step in and stop this Slovenian scumbag, stop this Serbo-Russo-Slovenian Serbian extermination procedure at once. Procedure in which Americans became inheritors of this crime. European Union became inheritor of this crime. It's a blackmail. It's extortion through the psychiatry. That's what this shit is. This is what this Slovenian scum does. That's what this stuff is all about. This has nothing to do with my identifying, with my being recognized and so on. That's bullshit. This is the ability of the single country, single small nation, the Serbian, most northern Serbian province known as Slovenia, undermining international principles, laws. I'm not going to say pertaining to the human rights, but pertaining to the fucking logic. This is about the human rights. This is imprisonment. Having the ability to corrupt, to undermine European Union, United States of America involved in it, extort, blackmail, international justice. This is what this shit is all about. This isn't about any other issues. That's exactly what this stuff is all about. This stuff started in so-called Yugoslavia in 1972. Those who enforced this stuff were Serbs and Slovenes wearing either a blue uniform, blue police uniforms, or they were wearing civilian as investigators, as police investigators, or a military uniforms. There was a lot of military personnel directly involved in this stuff. And it did not stop when Yugoslavia had fallen apart. Obviously that if you were trying to prove that such thing existed in so-called Yugoslavia, it no longer would apply to you under any jurisdiction in so-called Slovenia, therefore after 1991. Yet you Slovenes decided that you will continue to enforce genocide in the name of what you claim to others, proving what Serbs were up to, what Serbs wanted to do, etc., etc. You are Serbs. You can tell anybody you want that you are Slovenes and that you are different or whatever you are. But to me, you're never going to... I'm not going to say, to me, you yet have to prove this. To me, you're never going to prove that you are any different. I tell you that you are Serbs. I tell you that I am not part of you. I tell you I never was any part of you. I tell you I was born into prison. And that's the way it's going to stay. Everything else is bullshit. You managed to solicit from United Nations to the government of United States of America, where I became naturalized citizen in 2000. All the way to Brussels, all the way to Strasbourg. You managed to corrupt the European Commission with idea on how you will cooperate and you will help and you will do exactly what? You will do exactly what? You did manage to steal 54 years like this, and you did manage to kill my father. You managed to destroy my 54 years of life, what could have been family, life, future prosperity, and you destroyed an old man over there. And that's all you did. So we ain't gonna be arguing about your Ursula von der Leyen and the White House and the U.S. Justice Department of State, scum from the FBI, from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Central Intelligence Agency, whether you were out there to help me out to prove something together with the London, with a scum from London, from the British royals, the scum, the so-called royals, scum that wanted me dead at all costs. We're going to be discussing about other things. What exactly have you managed to accomplish for the cost of what you claimed Slovenes are going to be out there meeting you and helping you prove the case? That's what we're going to be talking about. I'm not interested in proving anything. I told you to stop this shit in 2010 when I started to talk about MKUltra existence, and what you did next is you threw me into psychiatric hospital in 2012. That clearly proves beyond absolutely any doubt that your only intention throughout my life was to get me killed. That's all there is. Erase me. We are at the beginning again in 1972, exactly the way it started. It's exactly the way you started. That's exactly what you enforced all along. Now I'm going to explain to you how it was in Yugoslavia. How was in Yugoslavia this home for elderly people, how they functioned in Yugoslavia. They functioned like this. I started this topic and I recalled enough to deliver the final blow. This is the area of this administration. Yeah, all this stuff that you see here, this is where they are located inside. Now let me deliver the final blow to these people here. I'm going to tell you how it was in Yugoslavia, and I'm going to tell you how it was in Slovenia then, and why. Yeah, like I said, today I saw this security car that came to pick up the money, that kind of stuff. The way this stuff was in Yugoslavia, yeah, I'm going to explain to you right now so you can see me on the camera. Just so that you know that I was here all along. The way this stuff was done in Yugoslavia was mega shit. The way it was done in Yugoslavia is that home for elderly people was burglarized on several occasions, with what would be the police coming at this location. I think they caught this, whoever was doing this. I think he had something to do maybe with the Roma, and then he had something to do with wherever the guy was from, whatever it was from. Maybe I really don't know. I don't want to get into, I don't know. There were, based on my memory, in Yugoslavia there were about maybe at least 3 robberies that Yugoslav police investigated at the home for elderly people, and I remember this robberies relatively late. So Yugoslavia had fallen apart in 1991. It was the end, with the Slovenia separated, and the last robbery would take place maybe about 2 years before the Slovenian independence, or maybe a year before. What was decided already during the second robbery, which took place maybe in 1985, maybe something like this, is that Yugoslav police, therefore the same police that we have here in so-called Slovenia, practically the same shit, same garbage. Russian mafia, Serbian mafia in Slovenia is Slovenian police. This is the way it is. You should know this. The way this stuff was done was that sometimes in 1984, actually beginning 1983, 1982, must have been either first robbery or second robbery, I don't know. They would have police cars come to collect the money. They can tell at home for elderly people. Today, when I exited the building, as I was talking to a receptionist about this building, if the Yugoslav police was also coming here to pick up the money from home for elderly people, like this, you know, we came to the father at 1300 hours, at 1 p.m. basically. And she said that she doesn't know that she was not there and so on. But they heard the stuff that I was talking about at front desk. I know, because it was a lady that was laughing, ha, ha, ha. I could hear her as I was passing through this area here. She was involved in MK Ultra, and she told me she would do this to remind me no. Okay, well, the truth is that they did this stuff. I am sure I have her on the telephone. That's how loud she was laughing from. Supposedly some nice lady up there on the upper floor that was taking care of the accounting, that kind of stuff. Money, business issue, accounting. So this lady, not this lady, but we're talking about the Yugo police. If they did collect the money, and I said, yes, they did. Yes, of course they did. They had an arrangement which I do not know. Now, they are obviously coming, or maybe not, on a daily basis. But during Yugoslavia, they had a certain dates. Maybe a pay, maybe something special, whatever it was, that police would come to get the money and transfer that money to the other location. In Yugoslavia, we had the police, we didn't have any kind of security companies. So that question is also answered in a most professional way. Whether that be once per month or twice per month, Yugo police used to come at home for elderly people to collect the money. And I know so. Since 1982, something like that, when again I was about, I don't know, 11, 10 years old. That's all there is. 1982, it's long ago. You joked up and you recall the stuff like this. Then you're doing really good. Try to say that I was not there, that I don't remember. I remember very good. In Slovenia, they had the same kind of problem. There was a burglary, something like this. Not too much after that, and they had to hire the private security. Therefore, that they would come. This burglarizing, this is the stuff that would take place at night time. One time, supposedly took a lot of money. I don't know what it was. They talk about, I don't know, maybe 5,000 euros or something like that. Who the hell knows? This is just a figure that I was given that sounds to me familiar, that they talked about, discussed about. So I answer also that kind of question. Yes, Yugo police did come to collect the money. They were maybe coming twice per month or more often, whatever the need was. Next to the Yugo police was a Yugo Robert Golob and Milan Kučan that would also be coming for a visit. And they were of a great assistance, by the way. They were always looking forward to inject as many as possible, those uniformed guys making themselves top presence. I can only imagine how it was for the people, or maybe not even that. Who the fuck knows what went on? I find it strange, amazing, sick, pedophilic, and beyond, like really strange, like Joseph Fritzl character, really. When I think about the Slovenian character, what the fuck is this shit that you keep this shit 50, 40 years buried with the whole world watching this shit? Yeah, you keep it buried and infect entire world with it. Incredible.